Let's go. He's nice. Now that's a giant. Finally happened.
Oh man. Wow. Look at the payoff.
Yeah, buddy. We did it.
All right, we're down here at the creek feeder. We just put this little plot in this little cove area coming off the creek and the neighbors' ag fields and food plots last fall, and drilled it with rye and seeded some clover on it. So it's March 13th right now. We've already had a pretty good day of shed hunting, so we're gonna seed in Buck Fever Seed Co., Foundations Trio, and Quick Start Clover in here. And there's still quite a bit of rye that's greened up this spring since it's been so warm the past month, and then last fall a decent amount of the clover was already coming up, and we're supposed to have a wet spring, so a little bit of rain in the forecast for tomorrow, so we'll get all this seeded over again and hope it turns out pretty good for turkeys and deer. So it's early April and we're out getting some spring deer chores done. We've got most of our shed hunting done and starting to get a little bit of turkey hunting in. There was actually a flock of toms and a bunch of hens when I pulled up here in the Windmill Bottom right now. And one of the first spring deer chores that we're gonna do, already did a little bit of it, but dig out all of the leaves and debris from last fall out of your water holes. And this water hole I put in 2019, I believe. And it's just pretty handy because it comes straight out of bedding on our two valleys and the neighbors right across the fence. And this is a spot that the deer really hit a lot early season, and especially come October and rut, they make a pit stop here and get a drink. And last fall and summer, Willie really used this spot a lot. And there's actually some fresh tore up scrapes that he used all fall as well, right around here. So we found both of his sheds a few weeks ago, so we know he's still in here. We got the feeder filled back up, got this mostly cleaned out, and just pulling some of the rest of the cameras and starting to get a little bit of our spring deer chores done. All right, it's mid-April and we're up at the ranch this weekend. Carson's actually renting a few of the pastures at the ranch here to run cows this year and probably the next several years. So we're up here clearing fence on one of the new properties that we got this last, shit, that was already 3 years ago, but super thick cedars all the way up this fence line, and we cleared the whole thing out. Made it easy for us and the cows to walk, but it's also going to be really easy for the deer to walk. And right up at the top of this is a spot that we call the Pump House Pinch. It actually used to be the old well for town, and it's not running anymore, but there's a road system that goes through there and the deer use it like crazy. So we've got a stand location up top there at the top of the cliff for a northwest wind where they all pinch down to go there. And then several of the trails feed down here. And I'm standing at the corner post at the bottom. And this fence kind of angles down. We've got a tree up here behind me that we're going to try to do a stand in for early season, possibly later in the year if we can get away with it with leaf cover. But this trail and all these other trails feed right to the Ponca Creek. There's an old stand here from the previous people that owned this property. We're not going to use that, but this trail and several of the other ones cross right over to the bullpen. I think we're going to have beans in the bullpen this year, so if we have a deer that's living over here big enough to hunt this year, it's been several years since we have, but if we do, this could be a pretty sweet spot. So we're gonna keep doing some fence. We took a bunch of the cedars and kind of made a wall, moved one of the trails around the base of the tree that we're probably gonna hang in just so we can push the deer a little bit farther out, but still get a shot at them coming across that trail. So should be mostly set here. We got a little bit to cut on the way back up and then keep working down the fence. All right, we're down here in the Windmill Bottom, and last September we came in here and kind of cleaned up a little area around the water tank, an area that Willie and a bunch of the other bucks come to really all season. And we drilled in rye and broadcasted clover into this little area, and it came in pretty good. The rye is probably 6-7 inches tall right now, which I think we're going to leave that instead of spray. Some of the other spots we're going to spray the rye out and kill it so the clover can come up good, but we're going to hit this with a little bit more clover, and the cows can get in here so they'll graze it down and we won't have to mow any of this, which is also part of the reason I want to leave the rye, because it shouldn't choke the clover out too bad. This is usually one of the first pastures they put them in, but I'm going to really prep this spot mostly for Willie this year. And actually when we pulled in here, him and 2 other bucks came running down into the neighbor's alfalfa field to feed, so we watched them through the binos for a little bit. But we got Buck Fever Seed Co. Quick Start Clover and Foundations Trio. So there's several different types of clover in here, so we'll mix it in our super nice bucket here and then seed all of this. All right, we're in the west end of the bullpen right now that we call the Clover Corner. And this is a spot that in 2019, in August, I came in and started the original clover plot, tore out the fence corners here and seeded clover into standing brome grass that I had sprayed and killed. And then once the brome was dead and after the clover was seeded, I mowed all the brome down so it kind of laid on top of the seed and the soil and kind of shaded it out and held the moisture. And fall 2019 and then all of spring and summer 2020, this whole corner was lush green clover, and the feeder was actually over here, and this is where C2 was on camera all summer, and then actually ended up killing him over off the blind platform in October. But we've been trying to get the clover to come back in here for the last few years, and then mid-June again last year, this whole thing flooded out. So there's patchy spots of clover in here, but it's not real great. So we're going to seed more Quick Start and Foundations Trio from Buck Fever Seed Co. in here right now, and let the rye that I drilled last year come up and kind of keep the weeds shaded out and hopefully hold some of the moisture for the clover in here. And then in about a month or so when the rye comes up, we'll spray it and mow it off, lay it over the clover and the ground again, hopefully to hold the moisture, and see if we can get this grown back up good. And then right after we're done with this, we're going to go over to the northeast corner where the feeder is now, and do the same thing over there, try to get that established in clover. And then I think our game plan for the entire bullpen plot for this summer and fall is to do beans, because that seems to be the best plot we've ever had in here that the deer really like, and we need all the food around here we can get. So seed this and then move over to the east side. All right, we're over in the east side of the bullpen now. There's a little bit of clover from last year's seeding left over, but the flood in mid-June I was just talking about came through here and washed most everything out of here. But this high traffic area where the feeder is throughout the summer, I want clover in here, so we've got a clover green corner on each side of the plot, especially if we're gonna have beans. You always want green and grain nearby. And we think the big field this year behind the 360 blind and the bullpen is gonna be corn this year. So it'd be really nice if we got beans in the summer and early fall, a couple little clover areas that they can still get green. We got water over here bedding on 3 different sides of us straight out to the cornfield. So if all goes as planned and we don't drought out again this year, this should be a really good spot. So get this seeded and then I think we're pretty much done for the day.